People are shit. How can you protect your business from shitty people?
Take effing action. Put it together. And subscribe to Tom Penn's channel on YouTube now. Yeah, I like it. It's crazy.
One of Tom's 11 rules. Go look it up. 11 rules that can position you for greater success, right? One of the rules is that people equal shit. I don't really mean everyone, but everyone has the potential of becoming shit, right? Because in any system, in any organization, in any company, the weakest link is always going to be people, right? The people are the least reliable element in any organization, in any strategy, in any plan. And that's why Tom always says, use system and process, use rules to reduce the amount of mistakes and bad things that people do. And today I'm going to talk about some of the bad things that people can do so that you are aware of them and you can do things, you can implement rules and strategies to avoid these problems. So I'm sharing this with you because I recently watched a lot of crime stories actually on YouTube, right? I told you to not watch too much YouTube, but I did. I watched a lot of crime stories, mainly to do with people cheating the company, people like doing bad things inside the company, people steal money and so on, right? So I want to share with you some of the things that I found and how you can mitigate those problems. And everything I'm going to tell you today, you probably know already. I'm just putting it into words so that you can hear it. But these are things probably you already know, right? So one, how can your employees do bad things, right? One is assuming your company is of a reasonable size. Your company needs to buy a lot of things, like whether it's computers or job posting subscriptions or different services, right? Your company needs to purchase a lot of products and services in order to fulfill company objectives. And sometimes when your company gets big, you can't do all the purchasing yourself. You have to start relying on other people to make purchases. And what happens is that your employees will start helping you to do purchases, but they will also receive kickbacks from the vendor. They will tell the vendor, okay, I buy from you, but you have to give me like a kickback, a 5 million or 10% or whatever. You have to give me some money, then I will represent my company and I will buy your products and services, right? And that's bad because when your employees, receive kickbacks, we all know it's not ethical, but also your company is going to suffer because you're going to pay more for the products and services. The vendor is going to mark up the price. They're going to increase the price to cover the kickback. So your business will pay more. That money that you spend could be used on expanding your business, improve training, do many things with your business, right? But instead, you are paying that money for the employee to receive kickback. So that is a very bad thing. So how can you avoid this inside your company? So in my company, for example, I want 3 quotations for every purchase. So if, let's say, a department, let's say engineering or marketing, or they want to buy something, right? Let's say marketing needs to buy a lot of MacBooks, for example, right? Okay, go ahead. Give me quotations, right? You want to buy 10 MacBooks? Okay, go talk to at least 3 stores. Give me quotations on their letterhead. So the quotation has to come from the vendors. You need 3 of them, right? And then you can compare them. And generally that's not good enough because they can actually talk to all 3 of them and say, hey, give me kickback, right? So what you do is you actually have a fourth one. So generally either you do it yourself or you have another team that does these quotations, and then you get the department to get you 3 quotations, but you have another team that give you 1 quotation, and then you can cross-check, right? So if the department give you 3 quotations, they're all expensive, and then there's another team that give you a quotation, or you find that quotation yourself and you compare. Now you have 4 quotations to look at, and you find out your quotation is the cheapest and the other 3 are all expensive. Then there's a problem, right? Then that maybe you have a people problem, right? If your employee cannot get a cheaper quotation than you, seriously, you have an employee problem. Okay. Number two problem that that you can encounter in your company is that let's say you have an accounting team that does payout to vendors, right? Again, a company needs to purchase a lot of products and services. And the accounting team does the payout to the vendors, right? So if you buy computers, your accounting team will need to pay out the money so that you can receive the products. So one trick that bad accountants can do is basically they overpay the vendor. Oops, we overpaid. And then if you're not looking at the books carefully, right, the accountant will ask the vendor to pay back. But when they pay back, maybe they pay to their own personal account, not to the company account. So this actually has happened to many businesses, not in Vietnam, but in North America. There's a lot of scams like that. And eventually these accountants get caught and then they go to jail, right? But this could happen to your company. If your accountants are not honest, if they're not loyal to you, maybe your company's buying products and services, and then your accountants are overpaying it, and then somehow they're receiving kickback from the vendors by the refund, right? So watch out for that. And the way to mitigate that problem is you gotta look at the books. You have to pay attention to the books. You gotta know. So in the process, you gotta be able to control the actual spend, right? So in Vietnam, company bank accounts generally need 2 people to pay out. I think that's a really good rule. So you have one person uploading the transaction, you have another person doing OTP to pay out the amount. And generally, you don't want the 2 person to be one. You want these 2 people to be 2 different people, right? Even better, if your company is, small enough, maybe the second person should be you, so that you are controlling the spending. You know how much you're spending on everything, and that you don't overpay, right? And number 3, way that your employees can fuck you in the ass is basically taking the money and putting into their pocket, right? So maybe you run a retail store, maybe you run a sales team, right? Retail store clerk is getting from the customers, maybe it's going into their pocket. Especially if you don't have good inventory management, then it's really hard to find that out because you can't track your inventory. You don't know how many products you have in your store. And then your products just starting to go missing, and then you're not seeing the money coming in. That's usually a sign that your employees are actually taking the money and putting it into their pocket. Your products are going out the door, but you're not getting the money. Your employee are keeping the money for themselves, right? And the way to counter that problem is that you really need a good system, right? You need to know how many products you have. You need to know if you sold one, there should be this much money coming in, and how much money you actually received every day. You gotta have those numbers for you to check. If you don't have those numbers, then you're encouraging your employees because they know you can't check it. So it will entice them to do bad things, even though maybe they are not bad people to begin with, but eventually, maybe sometimes they need money or whatever, and they start thinking bad things, and they know you can't check it, and then maybe they do end up doing bad things, right? So always don't rely on people. Build the system and process, right? You gotta know how many inventory are in your store, and you gotta be able to do regular routine checks on your inventory, and you gotta be able to compare inventory and also your sales numbers, like how much money coming in, how much inventory going out. You must know this, otherwise your inventory will just disappear and you will not get the money that you deserve. And if you don't get the money you deserve, how are you gonna pay employees? How are you gonna make your company survive? Be wary of that. If you run a sales team, right, make sure that your sales people get the money from your customers and the customers pay the company directly. So oftentimes I see in Vietnam, the customer pays the salesperson and the salesperson pay the company. I think that's completely wrong. One, the salesperson might one day just run away, you can't find them, right? And that has happened to other companies in Vietnam that I know of, which is stupid because the company should never allow the customer to pay the salesperson. Never. The customer should always pay the company first, and then the salesperson get commission. The company pays the salesperson a commission, not the customer pay the salesperson first. That is very, very important. So if you want to make sure your salespeople are not keeping your money, then make sure the customer pay you first, and then the salesperson get the commission that they deserve. There are so many ways to cheat for bad people to do bad things. I'm gonna give you the next one. Number 4 is, especially in a big company, like say banks or certain organizations where they get really big, You're not doing all the hiring yourself. You're relying on people inside your company to do all the hiring for you, right? And this actually creates a problem because sometimes when you run into bad people, they'll be like this. You know, they will go out, they will recruit people, and they will tell them, I will hire you, but you need to give me how much money. I will hire you, but you gotta give me a kickback. I will hire you for this position, but you gotta give me 20% of your salary. This actually happens in Vietnam. I think you know that too, right? But this is actually terrible for the company, right? It's actually very bad for the company because basically your employees are not working for you, they're working for themselves. They are hiring people to earn commission money, kickbacks for themselves. And that means they may not hire the best people for you. They will hire the people that will give them the 20%, the 5 million or whatever, right? And if you want to build a capable, competent organization that can do everything well, you cannot hire stupid people, right? And when you have your hiring manager, your department managers hiring people based on kickback to themselves, then you are going to end up with a bunch of fucktards. It's very important. And this is something that you should absolutely discourage inside your company. You should never allow it. If you see it, you need to stop it. You need to fire people. This is not tolerable. How do you mitigate that? How do you prevent that? Well, clear policies. Make sure that everyone understands that there's no kickback allowed. Make sure that people report it. If people ask for kickbacks, make sure people report it. They report to you. That they have a way to report to you, the business owner, so that you catch these people doing bad things, doing bad deeds, right? So I just give you 4, but there's so many. There's so many ways that bad people, bad employees, can do really bad things to your company. And people are shit. Give them enough incentive, give them enough reasons to do it, they will do it. You gotta build process and system to protect your company and yourself. And when you do that, your employees will actually stay honest and they will actually be more effective and loyal to your organization. When you actually leave a lot of ways for them to cheat, they will take advantage of those ways, and then you will end up breeding a lot of fucktards inside your company, and your company will die. So be aware of where you need to fix inside your system and process so these things don't happen for you. Don't be a fucktard, and now you know how they can cheat you, so take some fucking action and fix your process and systems.